Hello there. Yeah, in addition to all the usual markets that you find on the football coupon, um, in the tournaments such as the Euros and the World Cup, Betfair also offer what's called the forecast market. Now, some of you who are familiar with horse racing or greyhound racing, in fact, will kind of know what this is. It's basically a forecast is, which team is going to come first and second, and you can have a dual forecast. So you can have Team A to beat Team B, or Team B to beat Team A. And I sort of quite like these markets because, well, they're in play, and in the group stages where there are, sort of three games played by each team, the prices, can obviously alter sort of very markedly, given sort of the results of any particular game. So I'm looking at Group E to start with. Now this has been called the Group of Death, and it features Belgium, Italy, Sweden, and the Republic of Ireland. Now, my sort of feelings about particularly Belgium, are that not exactly they're a dark horse, but I think they've got a very good opportunity of progressing into this tournament. I think they've got one of the outstanding players in this tournament, and that is Kevin De Bruyne. Eden Hazard, of course, well, if he manages to sort of wake himself up from a pretty disastrous season with Chelsea. Vincent Kompany is out in the defence, but yet got the Tottenham pairing in there. They've got, of course, Courtois in goal, which is obviously very sort of useful for them. Fellaini, love him or like him, yep, he's in there. So they've got a very strong squad. Unlike Italy, who I think could struggle. They've got a very solid sort of defensive lineup, obviously with Buffon in goal, well, basically Juventus sort of defensive sort of setup. But up front, I think, is where they're going to, sort of find a bit of problems. Italy traditionally, sort of don't score a lot of goals, and with reliance on Southampton's Graziano Pelle up front. That kind of speaks volumes, frankly. Sweden, well, they're a one-man team. This is Ibrahimovic's sort of swan song, I guess. And I just don't think they've got any kind of strength and depth there to sort of make much impression. And the kind of same goes to the Republic of Ireland. Yes, they'll sort of bring to the tournament sort of lots of spirit, and with Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane, of course, they'll be sort of highly motivated, but they just don't really have, the quality. So, so Belgium, really, I think, look like the likely group winners here. And you can see here, at 2.22, that does look sort of quite tasty, as a standalone bet in itself. But if I look sort of further down the forecast, and let's have a look at you can see the dual forecast: Belgium to top the group, Italy to come second, or Belgium Sweden. That's 5-1 for that, for example. So let's look at the straight forecast here. Belgium first, Italy second. That's 4-1. The dual forecast, now that actually basically means in either order. So Italy can come first and Belgium second, and there you'll see the prices there, 2.22. But I'm going to be looking really at sort of Belgium to top the group, and one of the other three, Italy, Sweden, or Republic of Ireland, to come second to them. Now, what we can do, of course, and what's a good idea, is to look at the actual order of the group games. Okay, so first up is the Republic of Ireland against Sweden. And, well, I suspect that the draw will most likely be sort of the favourite for that particular game. Now the big one, of course, is Belgium-Italy, and if Belgium sort of beat Italy, then our forecast bet then looks pretty good. Italy-Sweden next up. Again, could there be an upset there? I don't know. A draw again looks sort of quite possible. Belgium against Republic, another 3 points there for Belgium, I would say. Italy Republic, well, can the Republic of Ireland do what they did in 1990 World Cup, wasn't it? Ray Houghton's goal, sending the Emerald Isle into ecstasy, I remember, for that particular game. Could they repeat that? Not so sure again. Another draw maybe, or sort of 1-0 to Italy perhaps. And excuse me. And the final game of this particular Group E, Sweden-Belgium, again, where Belgium could actually sort of pick up another 3 points. I don't believe that, unlike in the World Cup, they've got actually a market for points total, which is a shame, because that is a very useful market to actually sort of cover in play. Imagine that if we backed, say, Belgium to get maximum 9 points, they win the first 2. Then in the final game against Sweden, obviously the simple tactic then would be to lay Belgium. But yeah, sorry, that's kind of slightly fanciful thinking, because that market unfortunately doesn't exist. To fill the second place spot, I'm going to have to go with Italy. For reasons I've just explained about Sweden and Ireland, I just really can't see them sort of having the quality or in depth of squad to really kind of do anything spectacular. So I mean, Italy, okay, what looks really to be kind of quite a poor squad, but let's not forget, of course, that in 28 competitive games since 2012, they've actually only lost 3 times. So I'm going to make Italy second, just in the straight forecast, and go Belgium, Italy, and taking 4-1 about that. On to Group F. Portugal are the favourites, and perhaps deservedly so, but only just. They've progressed to the knockout stages in all 6 of their previous European Championship appearances, and they've actually won their groups on 4 of those occasions. So, I'm definitely not writing them off here, even though with Ronaldo obviously in the team and their talismanic sort of figure, they actually only scored 11 goals in 8 of their sort of qualifying games, compared with Austria, who, for quite a few people, I think are perhaps this tournament's dark horses. But these guys, they like to attack. In qualifying, they had an average of sort of 15 shots per game, with sort of 11 on target. So, they've got a certain kind of swagger and style, and even perhaps for the neutrals, should be, a very interesting and an attractive side to watch. So, I want to include them in the forecast. The Whipping Boys, Hungary, they look pretty much actually the weakest sort of team in the whole tournament, so we can kind of eliminate them. Iceland, I mean, sort of a couple of weeks ago when I really started to sort of look into it in more depth and detail at this tournament, I don't know, I was thinking Iceland all the time. Yeah, can they progress? Can they progress? I'll be looking at them actually in the sort of route to the final part of this particular Euro analysis. That's in another video. But for this sort of forecast in this group, yes, I want to include Austria. Yeah, no, I don't really want to exclude Portugal. So I I, I want to look at the group schedule. Yeah, kicking off in the first game in this group is Austria against Hungary. Now, you know, there's 3 points in the bag here. So, if you're looking at Austria in this forecast market, that win in the first game should see, that price come in sort of relatively easily. Portugal against Iceland. Well, yeah, I mean, could this be an upset? I suppose, we're looking at, upsets on the day. It's perhaps best to look at those a bit closer to kick-off. They can be a bit subjective, can't they? But I'm not sure. I'm not saying I fancy Iceland to win that particular clash, but I don't know. I might actually be doing something sort of on the actual sort of match itself. Perhaps sort of late Portugal first goal, something like that. Yeah, I'm gonna hold fire. But, I'm trying to think about or at least I want to put Iceland sort of in this forecast if I can. Iceland Hungary. Well, yeah. Now again, with Hungary being the whipping boys here, sort of Iceland could collect sort of 3 points. So after 2 games, Iceland could well have sort of 4 points in here. The big one, obviously, Portugal-Austria, maybe points shared, not too sure about that, or if Portugal win, maybe there's sort of 4 points for Portugal going into the next game for Austria, which is against Iceland. Draw or win for Austria, I would say. And obviously in the last game, Portugal should pick up sort of 3 points. So it's quite tight. And, if I'm being sort of quite sensible, Portugal, Austria at even money probably looks the smartest move. What I will do here is I might sort of have it, let's say, sort of a couple of points on Portugal, Austria. Dual forecast, that is, either way. Austria, Portugal, Portugal, Austria. I'm so tempted to sort of put in Iceland, but I'm going to leave them alone for a kind of a different kind of bet, which I'm going to be looking at the sort of the route to the final and how far Iceland can progress. But for that, we'll need to look sort of quite in detail at who they might sort of meet in the last 16 and sort of even the quarterfinals. That sort of particular jigsaw puzzle takes a little bit more kind of working out. But hopefully I want to sort of look at that in a sort of a different video. So I'll kind of leave Iceland out slightly reluctantly and just simply go for a dual forecast on Portugal, Austria at just a shade over even money. Group B, and the perennial question, can England actually sort of put something together in a major tournament? I think they will, or at least I think they'll dominate this group, so I want to have them as top of the group. Who to come second? Russia. Well, they've lost their sort of main striker, Jagoev, and they're an ageing squad. They're a little bit cumbersome. I don't think they will sort of trouble anyone in the group sort of that much, or at least I think all the 3 other teams will sort of fancy their chances against this particularly sort of weak Russian side. So who's going to come second to England? Wales. All right, heavily reliant on the world's most expensive footballer, Gareth Bale, of course. They could. They could come second. Why not? But I think what's interesting is that Slovakia, who actually has sort of been written off here, and I think that's perhaps slightly unfair. They beat Spain in qualifying, and they look, they've got a pretty sort of settled defensive structure. They've got a lot of confidence, I think, coming into this side. They've got had a great sort of winning streak that did sort of come unstuck against Latvia recently in a friendly, and sort of a lot for this particular bet will depend on how they fare against Wales in their opening game. So let's look at the schedule. So, yeah, I mean, if Slovakia, it will be a tough nut to break down, and with only Bale sort of perhaps capable of doing that, Slovakia could actually sort of nick 3 points here. England, Russia, right, okay, I've sort of given my reasons for why that's sort of a 3-pointer there for the Three Lions. Again, Russia, Slovakia, well, if Slovakia do get off to that good start against Wales, they'll certainly fancy their chances against Russia, so a win or a draw for them there. Quite a big one here, England, Wales, but if Wales manage to get a point, I don't think England are going to be sort of toppled off the group, because in their last game they faced Slovakia, and I'll probably say 1 point even in that game should see them top the game. So it's an interesting group, that I think sort of hinges a lot for this bet around the opening game, Wales-Slovakia, which I could see Slovakia winning. So let's have a look at what the actual odds are in the dual straight forecast. England to beat Wales 5-8, and England to beat Slovakia. And if I just do a quick calculation, let's say, just slightly off my screen here. Yeah, let's for example, if I sort of spend £18. What we've got there, sort of 3.0, about 3.0, something like that. So, that might be sort of an idea for me to actually Dutch England to beat Wales and England to beat Slovakia. It might just be Slovakia to beat England. You never know. You might even sort of chuck in, if you're spending 18 quid, I mean, if you chuck in sort of £2 or even £3 there. If you put in £3, for example, Slovakia to beat England, because, that's their last game, England, Slovakia. So, you might want to just sort of throw in Slovakia, England there. So, I mean, it all kind of, a lot of it hinges basically on discounting Russia and fancying Slovakia really just sort of to sort of edge ahead of Wales to get that second spot. Group A, France, the tournament hosts and clear favourites to win this particular group. I won't be having a particularly sort of strong interest in any forecast betting here, but my eyes really will be kind of more on Albania. This is the first time they've ever been in a major tournament, and these guys, they don't concede, extremely sort of well drilled defensively, and they'll be looking, I guess, to sort of pick up maybe 2, perhaps even sort of 3 draws. Remembering that in this particular extended tournament now, the third placed team in a group has got the sort of possibility of actually progressing through to the last 16. So I'll be kind of interested to see how Albania do, and if we can just have a quick look at their fixture list in that Group A. Yeah, Albanians, their first game up is against Switzerland, who, they were sort of quite lauded, weren't they, in 2014, but they've kind of they've kind of gone off the boil a bit, and you know, Shaqiri didn't have a brilliant season, frankly, at Stoke. So yeah, it's not a given that Switzerland are going to come second in that group. So yeah, June 11th, Albania, Switzerland. I'll be very interested to see that particular group there. What's been described as sort of a soft group. The sort of other competitor, Romania. Yeah, pretty impressive in qualifying. Yeah, the jury's out on me, for this. So that's, really, I can't really got an angle onto any sort of forecast there. It could be any of those three to come second to France, in my opinion. But I'll be sort of having a particular sort of single bet, or a trade rather, on the Albania-Switzerland game on June the 11th. The other groups, if we can quickly go over, yeah, Group C. Again, some question marks here, aren't there, about Germany? Northern Ireland, I think they'll be propping up the table for sure. Poland, obviously, with perhaps one of the best strikers in the world, Lewandowski, and his sidekick there, Milik. Yeah, Poland. I'm going to have a look at that a bit sort of nearer the date. But in terms of the forecast, maybe Poland, sort of Germany reverse forecast. So let's have a actually quick look at. It's just my sort of indecision here is really sort of about kind of about Germany and where are the Group C. So let's have a look what Germany, Poland. Yeah, it's, or even Poland to beat Germany 8-1. See, Poland, the first game against Northern Ireland, 3 points there. The big one, obviously, for them is Germany, and they could fancy sort of another 3 points against Ukraine. I'll be giving that a little a swerve actually. So, and the other group finally to look at was the Spain group, wasn't it? That's Group E. I think it's Group E, not Group B. Done that one. Bear with me. Done that one as well. Which one haven't I done? Group D, isn't it? Well, that must be one of them. And Group D. Yeah, some quarters are sort of bigging up Turkey's chances to progress, sort of maybe even to the semi-final. Czech Republic. Yeah. Kind of score a lot of goals, so it might be worth looking at them when you're trading their particular games. Spain, always slow starters. Let's have a look actually what they're. That's in D, isn't it? Let's have a look. Oops. Right, Group D. Turkey, Croatia, Spain, the Czech, Croatia, Spain, Turkey, Czech, Turkey, Croatia, Spain. Trappy. Yeah. Yeah, okay, we'll leave that one alone. Good. Okay, well that's the forecast betting, and as I said, the next video we'll be looking at a little bit more detail on the route to the final, where we'll be sort of taking in who can possibly reach the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. Okay.